Welcome to This Is Your Job Now. I'm Kai Sorensen, Director of Podcasts at Balancing Life's Issues. Today's episode is one that honestly made me squirm, and I think that's exactly the point. Wendy brings on two longtime friends and respected professionals, Dan Bolger and Matthew Weiller, for a raw, real look at leadership, conflict, and what happens when people bring their whole selves to work, baggage and all. Now, if you're like me, conflict doesn't always feel comfortable, but what you're about to hear is a masterclass in why leaders can't afford to avoid it. You'll hear Wendy peel back layers, gently but firmly, until she and her guests uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. It's about what happens when someone shows up cranky, disengaged, or checked out, and why just do your job is never the full answer. Whether the problem is a hidden medical issue, a fertility struggle, or something at home that's bleeding into the workplace, great leaders don't shy away. They get curious. They pull aside people. They ask the right questions. This conversation is candid, a little uncomfortable, and exactly the kind of dialogue we need more of in every workplace. It's about practicing compassion, curiosity, and accountability all at once. So if you're a leader who wants to learn how to navigate the tough stuff, to really see your people, and never let a good crisis pass you by, this episode is for you. Enjoy.
I am here with two amazing people. So first, let me just say the obligatory thank you. Dan, I'm going to give you 4 seconds to go ahead and introduce yourselves to our audience today. Go for it.
My name is Dan Bolger, and I am a former foreign policy and development expert. And I now live in the New York area and delighted to be a part of this podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me, Wendy.
And a good buddy is Matt Weiller, who, full disclosure, I grew up with, known him for forever. Little bit of royalty in our home. So I'm always humbled when the Weillers are in the room. So Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Matt Weiller. I am, as Wendy said, originally from Hartsdale, New York, Woodlands class of 79. And I am retired last year after 35 years in the Department of State, still working occasionally as a retiree for the Department of State. Little disclaimer, the views I express here are my own, not those of the Department of State.
And that's how we want it. So welcome to This Is Your Job Now. So Dan and Matt, I'm going to let you fight over this first point of view. So in my 30 years, the role of leadership has changed dramatically. And I'm still getting a lot of, it's not my job, that's HR's. I don't want to get involved. I just want to do my job. I just want the organization to be productive. So how are you feeling about leadership today? Quick answer. Who wants to dive in?
Dan?
I feel, thank you. I feel like there are some unsung heroes with any organization and department.
Nice viewpoint. I like the optimism we're bringing in right now. I like the optimism.
Right. No, absolutely. But HR, IT, security, and even comms oftentimes get short shrift. And by simply delegating tasks to them, doesn't guarantee or doesn't ensure that the message has been sent clearly or that they're going to be able to fulfill what has been asked. There's got to be a measure of mentoring, coaching, cajoling, and embrace to, I think, really make it. And I think so that,
okay.
That's something that is there's a gap in the current.
Okay. So Matt, what do you think? Are you as optimistic as your buddy over here? Dan's feeling good about the world.
I believe good leadership is fair, consistent, kind, not pushovery kind, but fair, honest, and engaged kind, and willing to make tough decisions. And I think those people are still out there, and the good ones continue to do those things.
Okay, so let me ask you a tough question. This is a quiz. Are you ready for the quiz?
Okay.
All the stories that we share on This Is Your Job Now are real. Obviously, we just protect, as Matt said, we protect people. This is a top leader in an organization that's been very cranky. She's a cranky leader, and her team says she's super smart, but super cranky. Super cranky. The team is very upset about this. Tell me some of the reasons that she might be cranky.
Can I just say, one of my newest lines is, don't hire for IQ, hire for EQ.
Okay.
And it sounds like she's an IQ hire as opposed to, or an IQ leader as opposed to an EQ leader.
Matt, we're done. 100% right. But she's there. So we can't fix that, right? This is a leader who's there. So whether it's a good hire or not hire, this is a leader who is there, and her boss is saying, I don't care that you're cranky. Get it together and be a better leader. What has changed? Tell me what you think might be going on. Give a guess, Dan. What do you think she's cranky about?
The person may have some semblance of emotional intelligence, right? The EQ, but on that particular time in that moment, they may be going through something personal, right?
Okay, like what? Like what?
Could be family issues, could be
Like what?
Kids, a problem with kids.
Okay, so talk to me. What are the questions that you think a leader, and I'm going to be judgy here, should ask to find out what's going on?
Well, the question should be open and sort of open probes, like, hey, Miss So and So, do you have some time to share? Is there anything we should know about? Be calm.
Nope. I'm good. I'm good, Dan. I'm all good. I'm all set. I'm all good. Don't worry about me.
But by the same
In a
token,
good
hear
mood,
me
Dan.
out. Hear me out, ma'am, Miss, or Director, Supervisor, Ambassador.
Got it. Fill in the blank.
There's been some concern on the part of the office politic that something may be afoot. If there's anything that we need to know, please feel free to reach out. I'm here. Again, take your time. We want to be successful.
But Dan, the thing about this podcast is we're going to fantasize for a minute that we're going to go with what Matt said. A kind leader may also think through how they can make it the safest possible way for this person to actually tell their boss, the leader's leader, what could be happening. So what other question? Let's just brainstorm. Matt, what could also be going on with this woman? And by the way, this is a numbers 1, 2, or 3 issue in corporate America today.
I mean, I look at it, there's carrot and stick issues here. I mean, the carrot is obviously the things that Dan was asking, but the stick things are like, are you, and hard to kind of phrase this way, but are you getting along with your staff? Are you feeling threatened by anybody? And I don't mean threatened in the danger way.
I get it. So you're saying it's not a work-related issue. I'll tell you that it's almost never what we've learned in 30 years of studying. About 88% of the time, it's not a work-related issue. These leaders, because this is a podcast about leadership, they get to do their jobs. That's not their problem. It's not a job. It's not a job-related issue. So I think Dan was closer. Sorry, Matt. I got to throw it back to Dan. He might win on this one.
Okay.
It's almost always a non-work related issue, but I want to make it really safe. What's the questions that you're thinking it could be? Let's just blunt it out. What could it be?
Promotion or lack of.
Not a job related. Don't go safe. I just finished telling you not a job related. Right. Now I got to go back to Matt. You lost that round.
I'm a contender still. I'm a contender.
You're a contender. Yeah, I love it.
Could be also medical. People.
Okay.
People like to play through pain, particularly high-powered people. And, sometimes they don't, I think men in particular, I mean, you were talking in this case about a woman, but I think men in particular will ignore pain. And yet that pain, I can think of a senior official career that I know of who's known as a screamer. And he has some physical issues. And I am of the belief that is a lot of what is causing his issues.
Could be. So if you were, and for sake of time, because we want to keep everybody engaged, right? Ask me the questions that you need to know. You're a kind, compassionate leader in today's world. You know you have a problem on hand. You know it's not work related. So it may be medical. So what is the question that you are going to be courageous enough to ask Wendy?
Do you need time to address whatever issues might be occurring? I mean, how can we backstop you to support whatever time away from the office or away from projects that you might need?
Okay. So Dan, let me ask, can I ask you a personal question?
Me? Yes.
Yeah. I don't know you as well as Matt. So Matt's easier for me to play around with, but getting to know you a little bit better on this call. So has it ever happened where you've had to suck it up and go to work?
Oh,
something at home with your family?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
What's the question on those days that you wish someone had asked you? On the hardest day, when you were really sucking it up and going to work, what is the question you wish a leader had asked you?
Well, first, how are you? How is everything? How's your family?
I'm fine.
I mean, and I would say that if there were, had to suck it up for a big presentation or a big client meeting, and I just really was not able. But an aside, a sidebar. I think in terms of leadership, check-ins, sidebars, being able to pull someone aside and say,
okay, I love that. I think that's a really important takeaway for listeners.
Yeah.
I think the idea of sidebars are super chef's kiss, Dan. Total great takeaway. I got to pull you aside. No, that's a real tangible tip, right? I got to pull you away. Matt.
You need to get that person talking. I mean, whatever you need to do, you don't need to tell them much. You just need them talking. Once you get them talking, very often all people need to do is vent. I've got this thing with my kid. He's not going to school. And then usually what happens in those situations is that employee will thank you afterwards, and they'll walk out of there, if not completely better off, but happier and kind of feeling like somehow they've been unburdened, partially at least.
Beautiful answer. Both of you hit the nail on the head. You got to take the person, you got to sidebar them, and you got to get them talking. And in this situation, this is a woman who is later not in her 50s and having major fertility issues, which is a very big issue today in corporate America that we don't always talk about. In government, in hospitals, women waited careers, the span changed, and they got to a place where they said, now I want to have a child, and fertility issues. And you as a leader might say, hey, that's not my job. I don't want to deal with that. That's yucky. And I purposely picked that topic for two men because I think maybe there's some gender there that men might say, oh. So in this situation, this woman is on massive fertility drugs, to Matt's point.
Yeah.
So there's some medical. But to your point, does it affect her job, and will it continue to affect her job for a very long period of time? What do you think the answer is?
Map out a plan with them, but just carrying forward what Matt said.
So how comfortable are you talking about this? How comfortable are Dan and Matt talking to somebody, a leader, about their fertility issues?
Yeah, this is thus the rub here, because I can tell you in the public sector, maybe it's changing somewhat since January, but those are can be very dangerous conversations to have. And,
and that is why we created this podcast now, because we're going back to suppression, and we're going back to closet, and we're going back to, I'm too scared to have this conversation, Wendy. It's not my job anymore.
Well, interestingly, Wendy, I would disagree slightly. I think in one of the, never let a good crisis pass you by. And I think, granted, things have changed considerably in the government and elsewhere recently, but people are still in the government approaching these things in the way they would have 6-8 months ago. And they haven't thought about maybe that there is an opening now to speak more freely about things that might have gotten them into EEO related trouble, to be frank.
Right. Good. I think that's great. I love to hear. So, all right, as we begin to get to the end, and you have a sense of our messaging, right? What is our job today different? In really one sentence or less, Dan, how would you sum it up? You're an expert. You've been in the world of truly difficult situations for umpteen years. So your biggest takeaway for leaders today is what?
Absolutely lead with empathy, but doing so in a way that's clear to those who work with you, around you, for you. What that really means, how it plays out. People aren't naturally born with the capacity to understand, to catch. You have to practice it. You have to skill.
Do you have a leader that you admire and that would be a public one that we could go to look at? Like, do you have what would someone so-and-so do? And pretty much everybody knows mine is Michelle Obama, but who would be yours, Dan?
I want to answer that question too when you get a chance.
Why don't you go, Matt? Why don't you go, Matt? Why don't you go ahead?
Go ahead, Matt.
Anthony Fauci. Man is a hero, an absolute hero.
I love it. Okay.
Just his constant, consistent, professional and measured approach, the way I've read his autobiography and
I love it.
Read lots of things about him, and he is consistent and fair and brilliant, but doesn't necessarily flaunt his brilliance. which in a place like Washington can happen. So he would be my ideal great leader.
I think my mother would agree with you. So thank you for that one. Yeah. Okay, Dan.
I'd say Stanley McChrystal, General McChrystal, because he's brilliant, courageous, incredibly disciplined. But a member of my family actually got to work with him directly and helped him prepare for a TED Talk. He's currently, I believe, still at Yale doing international strategy and competitive strategy that he's parlayed to the corporate sector from his experience in the military.
I want to thank you so much for being all over the world, chiming in, sharing decades of experience with us and our listeners today. We never get a chance to talk to people like Dan and Matt. So I really want to take a moment and thank you so much for being on. This is your job now. We're highlighting you. We're really grateful for your time here today. So thank you, Dan, and thank you, Matt.
Our pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to This Is Your Job Now, produced by me, Kai. If this episode made you think or made you feel, we hope it also made you realize you don't have to figure this out all alone. Leadership today is about presence, not perfection. To learn more, follow Wendy Wollner on LinkedIn, subscribe to Balancing Life's Issues on YouTube, or stream the podcast wherever you listen. Because if you're leading people, this is your job now. Anything else to add, Miles?
Yeah.